Did you ever dream of beating Maru? Then you've come to the right place, because this is the build that Parting used to beat Maru in the latest GSL, and we're going to be having a look at it. This is a replay I played against the AI, which I will show. Afterwards I have a replay I played, I believe, against heromarine, which I'm going to show the general unit movement and the ideas behind the build. But for now, let's just get into the build order straight away. So you see I open up over here with a standard 16 gateway. I put a chrono boost straight on the nexus, and I will be getting a 17 assimilator as a follow-up. Make sure to, if you're very good, to try and micro your probes in such a way that every probe or every mineral patch has 2 probes, and not that one mineral patch only has 1 probe and the other one 3, as that's a less efficient way of mining. Now, the moment the gas finishes, you send the 1 probe that was oversaturating your minerals straight into that gas, and then the next probe gets rallied to this area. I did not do it in this game, but this should be rallied to build that cyber core the moment the gateway finishes. You see, I'm going to be about 2 seconds late, as we're going to be playing a core first build here. So cybernetics core before the nexus. It adds some safety, it adds some pressure on the Terran, as your first units will be able to walk across the map majority of the time. We follow this up with a 20 nexus and a 20 pylon, and then we go back into probe production and a 21 assimilator. Now do note that I've only used 1 chrono boost so far, and I'm not planning on using a second one on probes for quite a while as we continue probe production. And the moment the pylon finishes and the cybercore finishes, we start the adapt and we chrono it. At the same time, we start our warp gate research immediately, so that we can straight away start getting warp ins the moment this finishes as well. We get into the gas with as many probes as there are oversaturating our main mineral line. So if we have 18 probes, we pull 2 away, so nice 16 guys mining minerals here. We follow this up with a stalker. Now this stalker is also going to be chrono boosted in case the Reaper is here. I will explain the exact unit movement in the replay, as I will be doing some actual unit movement there. After the stalker, we get a Twilight Council, and after this stalker, we just get another stalker. So adapt stalker, stalker, first 2 units chrono boosted, and then we get a stalker that we don't chrono boost. Now I use a chrono boost here on the nexus, on the probes. This is the second chrono boost on the probes. This isn't necessary. You can do it, but it's not necessary. It might be nice to use it on Blink again, or 1 more on Prism, for example. I'm not entirely sure what the best way is to go about that. Now, something that's very different from most Blink builds is this moment, is where I get a robotics facility at around the 3-minute mark, rather than getting my Blink straight away from the Twilight Council. And I do this because I'm gonna need an observer and a prism from this robotics facility for my 4-gate push to be successful. So we get Robo first, then once money allows us, first we add 2 gateways, which we will most likely need to make a little probe cut for. So you see, I am not making any workers from this nexus at the moment, and I think I even cut this worker to get a slightly faster Blink. So at 38 supply you have a slight worker cut to add these 2 gateways and to start the Blink, which you immediately starts chrono boosting. I return back to my pro production, and then usually around 20 seconds after building the initial 2 gateways, or the extra 2 gateways, you build the 4th gateway. Now stuff starts speeding up a bit, so try to pay attention to this. You get a pylon straight away after. You start your observer, which you don't need to chrono boost, because your robotics facility is so insanely fast. Second chrono boost on the Twilight. We get a 4th pylon. Note that right now I only have 16 workers, or a planned 16 workers on the gas. I'm not gonna go above this. I'm not taking a 3rd gas yet until I start my prism. Then I might resume my worker production after I do my warp hits. So prism, ideally I'd like to chrono boost this. I hope I do this game, but I don't think I do. The moment all of our gates finish, we start warping in, and we never really stop warping in at this point. So it's just warp in, warp in, warp in. The moment they become available, you keep warping in. I get my gas. My Twilight Council is still researching Blink. I put on a 3rd chrono on the Blink, and now I restart pro production just ever so slightly. And you see I'm almost continuously producing out of these gateways, never really on cooldown. Now this one is on cooldown, bam, I'll immediately warp in the next unit. I go up to a total of 40 workers, is that correct? 41 workers maybe. So 3 in the gas here, 16 on minerals, 16 on minerals in the main, and 3 in each gas. Yeah, and from there on out, you should be able to get to the other side of the map and try to do some damage. Now, if you execute this build order perfectly, this is going to be your benchmark. All right, so we're going to be having exactly 11 stalkers, 1 adept, 1 observer, a prism, and 41 workers, while still having plenty of space for more warp-ins on the other side of the map at 507. So if you're going to be practicing this build against the AI, which I definitely recommend, it's quite a tricky build, try to hit that benchmark or try to get as close to it as possible. Now, in the real game, a lot of the time, it's going to be harder to hit that quick because things are happening. A Reaper might annoy you, kill a worker, a mine drop might show up. I'm going to show you in the next replay exactly how to deal with all that. But this is the initial build. Now, we still have a couple of seconds in the replay left, and here I'm going to be showing you how the follow-up works. So you're just going to be continuously warping in stalkers, and then after a while, you'll notice, if you do the build correctly, that you start banking up some money and you don't really have the gas. You can build a nexus during that time. So I build a nexus. I can't immediately warp in both stalkers, but I get pretty close to having almost continuous stalker warp-ins. You're going to be doing damage with your stalkers. It feels a lot like an all-in for the Terran. Sometimes as a pro, this feels very, very strong. It's like, wow, how do I get this many units? And you just kill your opponent straight up. But there's still a nexus behind it. There's still transitions possible. I'm going to be talking about those transitions a bit at the end of the next replay. So yeah, let's just hop straight into that. Alright, so I skipped straight ahead to the point where the first unit interactions will start happening. You see my first adept is out. What you try to do is you try to hit the Reaper at least once, and then you just shade on top of him. Okay, this will push the Reaper back, and it will allow you to most of the time walk across the map as fast as possible with your first adept. Now you don't want to, I think most people at your guys' level won't be able to do that kind of micro, so I'm not going to talk too much about that, but most of the time the first shade is going to be on top of your opponent's Reaper, and the second shade is going to be across the map. You might be wondering, but Kevin, what if the Reaper just goes into my main? Well, that's not possible because your first Stalker is out already. So imagine you shade in, he moves up, your Stalker is not really supposed to shoot the rock, but instead the Reaper. If my Stalker would have done that, I probably would have killed the Reaper. And then you try to do some damage on the other side. If they don't have a bunker, you will be able to kill the Marine that they have. Sometimes you get to cancel the command center, not cancel, but kill one of the SCVs there. Sometimes you can shade here and try to do some damage. And you always gotta make sure to keep at least one gate unit at home. So once your second Stalker is out, you can send the first Stalker you had across the map, especially if there's no bunker. That can be very powerful. Another time where you can actually do that and send your first Stalker across the map is if you kill the Reaper, or if the Reaper chases your adept back home. Then you don't need to stay at home with the Stalker, of course. The Stalker is just to clear this Reaper. I usually like to stand in front of my base with my adept so I can get some spotting. I sometimes, I can shade in and that kind of stuff. As there's no unit interactions right now, I'm just going to speed through it a little bit. No need to waste any time. But you see, I accidentally finish it as well. It happens to the best. Try to not do that too much. I'm getting my extra gateways, and usually at this point is when I start preparing for any kind of drop. So around 409, 410, I have my first warp in just done. I send one Stalker to one of the edges where I think a medevac might come to. So I don't know that he's gonna get here. I just feel like he might. So I'm gonna put one Stalker here. I might keep my adept over here in the middle. I keep one Stalker in this general area. So you see, I have a good idea of what's happening on this side of the map at least. I know for a fact he can't be entering my natural base without me noticing, because I have units there. So the rest of my units can just be placed into the main base in order to stop any kind of medevac drop. So now I spot the medevac drop and I'm like, okay, I know enough then. See, I was busy walking to the main, but I'm like, wait, I see the medevac drop. Why would I still be going to the main? I can just defend this area now. And you're basically executing the build. You try to find where he's at, and the moment your prism finishes, you leave 2 to 3 stalkers at home to deal with anything that can come your way. You try to figure out where it is that he has his units, and you try to, you know, make sure that he can't enter your main. If he does, then you just deal with that with the 2-3 stalkers, and you just move across the map. So you see, like I said, in game, I'm warping in. I have 12 stalkers right now at 510, so it's actually a pretty good execution of the build. Something to keep in mind when you do this build is that 11 stalkers are capable of one-shotting a tank. So if your opponent has a tank, you can one-shot it. And the things you want to be doing is most of the time is you run into tank range, the tank one-shot, and then you blink on top of the tank. A lot of people, the moment they think they can blink, they just straight away blink forward. But what you need to do, you actually need to wait for the tank to have his first shot. So you're completely in range and all your stalkers can shoot. And then it will die at once. So there's 2 main moves that are important. First of all, it's important to keep your observer alive, which I just didn't manage to do. I lost it to the Raven, which sucks for me. And then there's the 2 moves. There's the tank snipe move, which is important, and there's the bunker snipe move. So imagine you see no tanks, or imagine you see 1 tank over here on the high ground, and maybe a tank over here. My opponent decided to not build any tanks, which is definitely a mistake. You just check where the majority of his marines and marauders are with your observer, and then you just blink on top of that unit, that tank, most likely. Like if there's 2 tanks or 1 tank here, 1 tank here, you can blink on top of this tank right here. If there's no tanks, like right now, what you can do is you just walk forward and you just blink on top of the bunker. Now this feels stupid, but with 2 shots, 2.5 shots, you're basically through, and all of a sudden you also have control of this ramp, which is really, really important, because the moment you have control of this ramp, walking down the ramp is going to cost him a lot of marines and marauders as well. Try to make sure to never fight in tank range. You can tank a shot when you're blinking in to kill a tank, but you're never fighting in tank range. The only time you do that is when you're blinking on top of them. So in case all tanks are done, you can just keep adding more and more stalkers. You try to target down any marauders if you can. Marauders, banshees, maybe a raven if you have the time, and then the lowest priority really is marines, but I mean, you can also kill those if you want. At this point, it doesn't really matter. I killed the bunker, even though nothing really happened in this game. You see my unit's lost stat is looking really healthy for me, and you pretty much win the game. This is one of those games where it's like, hey, I did have a transition prepared. I had my 3rd nexus on the way. I was building some more probes again, but I'm just so far ahead at this point that I can just kill my opponent, so I keep warping in stalkers. Usually the rule I keep to myself is the moment you are, like, there's more than 3 tanks, so 3 tanks or more, is the moment I stop adding more stalkers and I start to get into my transition. Or if he has stim and I can't do damage anymore without losing too many stalkers. Basically the moment you start trading poorly is when I stop. Now to talk about the transitions, so there's 2 main transitions possible. The first transition, in case they get a lot of tanks, so if they continue their tank production, you go into charge. You add a forge, you get charge, and you just play charge lot, Archon, with a sentry or something like that. You can stay on 3 gases for this. It's completely fine. If your opponent stops getting tanks, like my opponent did, what you're supposed to do is you get a 4th gas after you build your 3rd, and you get a robo bay, and you go into colossi. You can still get charge eventually if you have the gas for it, but after your robo bay. And then you just try to delay your opponent on the map with these stalkers, and that way you try to win the game. Now, this game, like I said, I just completely win. I think I'm just trolling a bit because this micro is absolutely atrocious. So let's just pretend like I was trolling and not that I have terrible micro. You just target down the marauders, win the game, just like that. So it really is a 2-punch build. You have a good opportunity to win with the initial push, and you have good opportunity to win with the follow-up as well, as long as you execute the build order correctly. If there's any questions about this build, feel free to leave them down in the comments below. And if there's no questions about the build, tell me how much you love my long and wavy hair in the comments below. That's also important. Don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. Not sure what you're doing, but it's very important. So thanks everyone for watching, and I'll see you all next time and get many wins on the ladder with this beautiful build order that Parting gave to us. So see you all. Bye bye. Have you ever dreamt? Have you ever dreamed? Have you ever dreamed Have you ever dreamt? Did you ever dream of beating Maru?